And we move to another country now. In the UK, the largest student labor group there in the country has become embroiled in an anti-Semitism scandal following the resignation of one of its chairs after the club decided to endorse Israel Apartheid Week. Well, co-chair Alex Chalmers issued a strongly worded statement Monday which said he was stepping down from his position because a large portion of his student group and the student left in Oxford, quote, have some kind of problem with Jews, close quote. Well, for more on the story and its fallout, we're joined by our London correspondent, Jonathan Sacerdoti. Jonathan, thank you for being with us.
That's right. The readmission of Jerry Downing to the party and of Vicky Kirby has also added to this particular debate about anti-Semitism within the Labour Party. Both of them having made quite anti-Semitic statements and now being welcomed back into the party. Of course, Jerry Downing then being promptly kicked out again. Of course, Alex Chalmers, the University of Oxford's Labour Club co-chair, resigning, as you mentioned there, and going a little bit further back, Labour MP Gerald Kaufman with his anti-Semitic views. All of these people have come to the fore at the moment, perhaps because of the leadership of Jeremy Corbyn, which has made previously relatively unimportant figures within the party feel a lot more empowered, a lot more able to say what they think and seem a lot more important than they once were. In a way, fringe figures have become increasingly important. And as I said, Corbyn himself hasn't really contributed towards the feeling of safety and security among Jewish Labour voters. You'll remember that during his election campaign to be nominated as the leader of the Labour Party, there was much discussion about the people he had previously shared platforms with and introduced even as his friends, including people from Hamas and Hezbollah, prescribed terror groups with a genocidal intent towards Jewish people. All of this means that the Labour Party now has a huge problem being written about in the national newspapers in the UK, something perhaps people couldn't have imagined some years ago, saying that there is a rotting anti-Semitism problem at the core of the party which needs to be dealt with promptly.
Do stories like this show that the lines are being blurred between being anti-Israel and anti-Semitic?
Well, Alex Chalmers, the co-chair of the Oxford Students' Labour Club, certainly said so. He said something which many Jewish people have been saying for some time, but was previously dismissed by people who didn't necessarily agree with their cause of fighting anti-Semitism, which was that the word Zio is now used as some sort of code word for Jewish, and that by somehow saying someone was a Zionist or a Zio something or other, that would excuse an otherwise anti-Semitic view. It's now becoming clear that many of these figures who have said deeply anti-Semitic things often couch it in those terms so that they feel they can get away with what they're saying. And when we look at some of the actual quotes in question, it is extraordinary to see exactly what it is some of these people have been saying. There's now an inquiry into that issue with the Oxford University Labour Club being headed by Labour peer Baroness Royal, which is apparently now being asked to extend its scope to cover also the London School of Economics, the LSE. Now, if we're beginning to scratch beneath the surface of anti-Semitism within the Labour Party and look at anti-Semitism on British campuses as well, it could be opening a whole can of worms, as campaigners have said for years that this is a problem, that these places are hotbeds of modern anti-Semitism. It might now finally be time that these organisations and the Labour Party itself are beginning to take the problem seriously and start to deal with it. But certainly it will require actions, not just words, not just condemnations of anti-Semitism, but action to get rid of those carrying out these anti-Semitic statements and acts, and also a grassroots change in what is considered acceptable within those echelons.
Well, Jonathan Sacerdoti, our London correspondent, thank you for the report.